Well, it's October, and of course, for me personally, that means it's time for playoff baseball. But for the rest of America, everybody's thinking about that in less than a month, it's going to be the midterm elections. And of course, it should be a thrashing by the Republicans over the Democrats. Now, of course, the Democrats in that, final stretch, they've used everything they can from hurricanes that they can blame on red state governors like DeSantis to, look at what they're doing now in these red states, actually shipping these migrants into our protected blue states. And they're doing everything they can to try to muddy the waters. And of course, the false impression that there really is no recession and gas prices are coming down. Well, we've got a new reality to deal with, boys and girls, and that's this. OPEC decided to deal an October surprise. This was predicted a few days ago, and it happened as of today that OPEC is cutting oil production by 2 million barrels a day. Okay, that means there will be less supply, there's greater demand, and in simple economics, that means it's going to drive the price up. So get ready. There'll be a little bit more pain at the pump again, but to try to stem that tide and create this false utopia that Joe Biden has, quote, averted a real recession, that he has fixed our economy because he built back better. He has just ordered that the Strategic Oil Reserve release 10 million barrels of oil into the U.S. market to create the false sense that we're going to keep these gas prices low heading into the election. I've been warning you. I've been rewarning you, and I've been warning you again. Don't fall for the low gas price canard heading into the midterm elections. Joe Biden and the Democrats do not have the economy under control by any stretch of the imagination. Remember, we were told for months and months and months a president has no control over the price of gasoline. And then all of a sudden, when the gas prices began to really go down, the Biden White House wanted to take a victory lap. Look what we've done. Well, what they did was they released our strategic oil reserve into the consumer market, brought the prices down so that you could feel good heading into the midterm elections. I warned you, though, that as soon as the midterms were over, the prices were going to go up. Well, they're going to go up now, but they're going to really, 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 really go up after the midterms.
Well, Pastor Marty, even Donald Trump wouldn't, if OPEC decides to cut back production, that would have affected Donald Trump too. You're not being fair.
Well, Donald Trump got us energy independent. That's what the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media won't tell you. Donald Trump had us off being dependent on foreign oil. We could right now, if Donald Trump or Donald Trump policies were still in effect, we could right now be ready to drive OPEC to its knees by basically telling the rest of the world, don't do business with these people. Do business with us. We'll give you a better deal, which would have caused OPEC to try to raise production to try to cause our price to go higher so that they could meet the demand at a lower price. Competition is always a good thing. It's always a healthy thing. It is the way real capitalism works, real competition. I've told you here that what we don't have anymore is capitalism. And some of you left progressives that do watch me, you need to understand that I understand what you're saying about the fact that we've got these big pharma is raking in these obscene profits. And I agree with you. That's not because of capitalism. That's because of fascism. Fascism is when corporations and the government work together. The corporation agrees to whatever the propaganda narrative of the government is and to get behind it and back it and support it. And the government, with the corporations that work with them, the government uses its power to eliminate all of their competition. So a mandate created a need for Big Pharma to make obscene profits by giving you love potion number 9. And because the government was buying it all up, these big pharmaceutical companies were making not only obscene profits, some of them have never made a profit, believe it or not. And now they're just raking it in. That's not capitalism, that's fascism. And so now you have Joe Biden falsely pumping oil into our economy that was strategic oil, which, by the way, was all accumulated under what was the name of the last guy? Oh, yeah, Donald Trump. It was accumulated under his administration. He built our strategic oil reserve, and now you have Biden pissing it away. And yes, I said pissing, because that's exactly what he's doing with it. So you can feel better as a consumer, but I promise you, you're looking at $7, $8 a gallon for gas when these elections are over. California, I am looking in your direction. Are you paying attention? This is just more of the Biden grift. Again, we have all types of explosive evidence and breaking news regarding Hunter Biden, the fact that Joe Biden lied to the American people. He was well aware of everything that Hunter was up to, and we even now have leaked phone calls affirming that. Is the media covering it? DOJ looking into it? FBI concerned about it? But boy, oh boy, do we want to know what Donald Trump wrote on a cocktail napkin that got thrown into a box that ended up at Mar-a-Lago. That is what we've got to be investigating. That is what has to be under indictment. Do you understand that the corrupt deep state, the Biden administration, they are throttling back all of your rights and your freedoms, and you better understand that while they're in power, it's not we the people. It's the oligarch and the ruling establishment that have a chokehold on everything. But we are watching some of that literally breaking up before our eyes. Elon Musk is going to get his hands now on Twitter, and the libloons are in full meltdown. Jeff Zuckerberg is losing money. Yeehaw, about time. Meta, which runs Facebook, took a huge hit on Wall Street with investors. Looked like that they were this juggernaut that was never going to stop. People are rejecting this woke bullhawk. I've already talked to you about the movie Bros and the fact that, this big gay production is now out there literally yelling at you and me, yelling at the straight people. Well, you didn't come support our movie. No, because I think most of America, this is where people are. Not against you. You and your partner want to do whatever it is that you do it. We're not trying to stop you. We're not trying to create a police state where you get hunted down for that behavior and arrested for it. No, you want to do your thing, go do your thing. But I don't want to watch you do your thing, and I don't need to support you doing your thing. And that's really what's driving the LGBTQ community nuts. Not just that they're, the whole thing was first, they just wanted to get married and, be treated like everybody else. No, they don't. They want to be endorsed, embraced, and promoted. They can't even take the fact if we are just silent about what they do. That's driving them nuts. You must go see our movie. You must support it. You must make it #1 at the box office. I mean, this is literally what they're pushing now. This is that we must embrace and endorse what they do. And if we don't, we're homophobic. Now, I'm sorry, but Billy Eichner was tweeting out he didn't want any of us straight people going to see his movie. Now that it is tanked and bombed at the box office, it's our fault. Just like you have the producers of the movie Blonde, the fictional depiction of the life of Marilyn Monroe. They're under heat because there's a scene where Marilyn Monroe is actually talking to her fetus. or the fetus is actually talking to her saying, "Mommy, please don't hurt me again." Marilyn Monroe, tragic, tortured figure who, yes, she was the first sex symbol on the screen, the big sex siren, but she was obviously sexually abused. That's how she got there. And everybody in her life, from presidents to movie producers, literally, physically took sexual advantage of her. She had forced abortions. And the fact that she had guilt and trauma over that, and it's depicted in the movie, Planned Parenthood has stepped in and said, this movie is just doing nothing but promoting the false information that women that suffer or have had abortions are depressed and suffering emotional distress. Many of them do. That doesn't get talked about. That never gets talked about. That never gets promoted. That never gets discussed. What does get discussed is that these crisis pregnancy centers, they're not real medical facilities, which is what Elizabeth Warren loves to say. Not true, not true, not true. My wife is a registered nurse, licensed in 3 states. She volunteers her time 1 day a week at a crisis pregnancy center. And I can tell you, based on her testimony, she's never worked in a facility that double, triple, and quadruple check to make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed. Why? Because they don't want the state coming in and having any loophole, excuse, or crack to be able to shut them down. They are following every medical procedure as far as, the ensuring of their licensure and making sure they are doing everything that a licensed medical facility should provide. Abortion clinics aren't held to that standard. Remember a few years ago, I forget which state it was. I'm thinking Missouri, maybe it was Texas, but they were basically going to close any abortion clinics that were not within 15 minutes of an actual emergency medical care facility, like a hospital, an emergency center. Because, see, the abortion clinics aren't required by law to actually have an actual doctor on site, and a lot of these clinics don't have any what you would call life-saving equipment available to them. So if someone, while having this procedure, which is an actual operation, becomes in distress, their lives can't be saved on site. So there was legislation enacted that the patients, be within a 15-minute ambulance ride to a life safe, and a state Supreme Court stepped in and said, no, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. So actually, a woman is taking her life literally into her hands, walking into the typical Planned Parenthood type, quote unquote, women's health facility than they are in crisis pregnancy centers. That's truth. Now, in Biden's America, of course, in libland, fantasy land, we have to keep listening to and buying into the narrative. And the narrative is the movie Blonde on Netflix, which I have not seen. I'm just reading reports from Vanity Fair and Access Hollywood, etc., that are just incensed that this is sending out an anti-abortion message to women. And you have the gay community upset that the straight community didn't come support their big movie bros. And because Hollywood never learns its lesson, today, banner headline, in the brand new Scooby Doo movie being produced, Velma will be a lesbian. Apparently, producers have wanted to make Velma a lesbian since 2010, and the movie studios wouldn't allow it. They kept watering it down, kept making it not so. And in one of the last Scooby Doo movies they made, Velma had a boyfriend. Well, that's all over with now. Velma is now going to be an outed lesbian because it's important we have that in a cartoon franchise. What can I say? We are watching not just the erosion of all things Americana. We are watching the loss of our society completely. The Biden administration is now again re-upping their commitment to defund the police, and they've got an entire branch of the IRS designed to do just that. Hunter Biden's a criminal who ought to be in jail. We've got the audio tape of him and his father discussing their business dealings. DOJ's not interested. FBI's not interested. And then in Florida, we've got the liberal media in meltdown because not only do Floridians still love Ron DeSantis, despite the fact it's his fault they had Hurricane Ian, but he actually got a big bump in the polls that's now affected Charlie Crist, who is running against him. There's now an 11-point spread. Oh, there's going to be a lot more than that on Election Day. I can promise you that. Charlie Crist is a liar. He is a fraud. He worked for Morgan for the people law firm, which really is Morgan for the money. I mean, just a he's a liar. He is a turncoat. He's just a Tanner version of Mitt Romney. Well, no, Mitt Romney's a Republican. Well, Charlie Crist claims he used to be. And he went on to The View to apologize that at one time he was pro-life. No, Charlie Crist is going to go down in flames. The media's losing its crap. That you are not buying into their narrative of Ron DeSantis that he killed people. No, Andrew Cuomo killed people when he was governor of New York, purposely putting very sick, afflicted people in nursing homes that were not prepared to contain the virus spread. And we know that with the coronavirus, it really did affect the extreme elderly who had all kinds of other health conditions. That was the final push over the cliff. Tens of thousands died in New York as a result of the Cuomo policy. Is he in any trouble? No, he's a literal murderer. But they'll call Ron DeSantis a murderer now because they're scared to death that either he or Donald Trump are going to be the Republican nominee in 2024. And that's why they keep going after Donald Trump, and it's why Joe Biden and Hunter keep getting a pass. Hunter gets a pass. I'm going to make a prediction here. Hunter is going to keep getting a pass until the party bosses decide they really don't want Joe Biden to run again, and they have that talk with him. Joe, we don't want you to run again. And if you don't agree with us on this, we're gonna let the FBI just rip and devour Hunter. If you agree to just walk away quietly, just tell the American people, look, you know what? I fixed everything. I've done everything that I set out to do. I'm ready to retire. Hand it off to a younger person. We'll make sure Hunter's protected. We don't want you to run. If you decide to run, we're going after Hunter. You understand that, Joe, right? Tell us you got enough cognitive function going on up in that head of yours to nod your head and say, I understand. So that's my prediction. That's my prediction. That Hunter Biden will be protected if the party bosses decide they don't want Joe to run again, and as long as he agrees to walk away quietly, we'll protect Hunter. Keep my eye on that, see if I'm not prophetic in that area. Well, that's really pretty much what I've got for you today. It is just over the top, but again, final on this. The gas prices are being manipulated to the depletion of our strategic oil reserve because OPEC is cutting production. And I'm telling you, after the midterms, you are going to see gas prices like you never saw before. We've got to make sure we flip both houses, and then we've got to pray that somehow a Rand Paul, a Jim Jordan, someone champions among the conservatives, hey, we need to bring back the Trump era energy policies and have real, lasting lowering of fuel. Period. That's it. Have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow.